evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Matthew, the director of the Connecticut Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at UConn, and welcome to our annual Wolff New Venture Competition. The Wolff New Venture Competition is a celebration of our entrepreneurial ecosystem here at UConn. These 5 finalists that you will hear from tonight have participated in various programs at the university that have supported them as they have moved their ventures to the next level. Specifically, these 5 startups have just concluded an intensive summer accelerator with CCEI and continuously impress me with the traction they're gaining. I've had the privilege of coaching and mentoring these 5 startups, some of them for more than 2 years, and I'm so proud of what they have accomplished. These 5 startups have been selected as the most advanced ventures coming out of the university this year. And they should be proud of this accomplishment. Just being here tonight means that you have made it. The ultimate goal of this program tonight, though, is to select one of these startups as the 2021 Wolff winner and award them with $20,000 in startup funding. And this event would not be possible without the contributions of the Wolff family. And I would like to acknowledge and thank them for their continued support of CCEI and of entrepreneurship at UConn. They have been incredible supporters of our entrepreneurs that are here with us tonight. This event would also not be possible without the hard work of the team at CCEI. And I'd like to thank our entire staff for everything you do to make our programs a success. And I especially want to thank Alicia Krosniak, Maureen Capito, Michelle Cody, and Rory McGloin. I also want to thank Fiandella, Milone, and La Saracena for their sponsorship of the program tonight. And because of their generous support, we have been able to add a new element to the competition this year, one that you'll learn more about in just a few minutes. I also want to thank Lee and the entire team at Event Resources who have worked with us over the last few months to make this event possible. This year, we're able to bring our startups here to Hartford with us and stream to all of you at home. And finally, I'd like to thank the School of Business for elevating entrepreneurship and making it a core to what we do. I'd like to turn it over to John Elliott, who's the Dean of the School of Business, for some opening remarks. Dean Elliott has championed entrepreneurship, not just at the School of Business, but across the entire university. He has been an avid supporter of the Wolff New Venture Competition and the Wolff family's contributions to the School of Business. Thank you for joining us tonight, Dean Elliott.
And as you say, if you're muted, no. I apologize. Is my and I'm sounding a little loud. You mentioned, Jen, that when I came as dean, that I was actively engaged with supporting entrepreneurship, and I am actively engaged. I'm not hearing myself now. Are you hearing me? Okay. So as I look back on the relationship to the Wolff family, it is critical as an example of how we as a university have made progress. Back in the 80s and 90s, Tom Wolff forward and encouraged the university to make an investment, to accept his investment in entrepreneurship, and to make entrepreneurship a major part of what we do. Happily, and now, decades later, we're celebrating years of success. And as Jen pointed out, these teams who are with us tonight have spent a number of days, months, or even years preparing for this day. They have gone through experiences with the CCEI Summer Fellowship, with Innovation Quest, the IQ program, with Get Seated, with Accelerated UConn, with a number of these specific events, many of them university-wide, intentionally designed to bring students into a rich experience. We talked today at UConn about experiential learning, and we talk about life transformative education. And what we do with the Wolff plan, the Wolff competition, the Wolff experience, and these many entrepreneurial endeavors is to give young people the chance to really spread their wings and move forward aggressively at developing those ideas. Tonight, you'll hear from 5 extraordinary teams about the ideas that they have worked so hard to develop and to move forward. And tonight, the next person that you'll hear from is Rory McGloin. And Rory is an extraordinary example of the kind of help and support that these young people receive. So Rory will be your master of ceremonies tonight, but he in a way exemplifies the many volunteers who over the course of their experience, these students' experiences tonight with us, these volunteers have given them advice and counsel and mentoring, and it is the collective effect of those months and years of experience and Rory's careful tutelage that gets us to this evening's celebration and competition. So like you, I look forward to seeing these teams give us their best and show us the extraordinary ideas that they've worked so hard to develop. With that, let me turn it over to Rory for the next step.
Thank you, Dean Elliott. Thank you for those kind words, and thank you for seeing the need and value of communication as an integral part of the business development process here at UConn and CCEI. I'd just like to take a moment to thank Jen, Michelle, and everyone at CCEI for building a great team that I am proud to be a part of. Personally, I've been studying the art and science of effective communication for the last 20 years. Yet now more than ever, it feels as if we are recognizing the value of communication in both our lives and in our businesses. The Center of Innovation stands at the bedrock of effective communication, and our personal relationships hinge on the exchange of ideas in a manner that rewards listening and compelling contributions. Tonight, in so many ways, represents another milestone for the entrepreneurial journey for our startups. Tonight is a night in which the audience of esteemed experts, community partners, and inquisitive investors have come together to listen to these organizations tell their story of their business and, in turn, their vision for making the world a better place. I'm lucky to have had the distinct pleasure of working closely with each of these talented entrepreneurs over the past 6 months in an effort to hone their presentation skills and to carefully craft a compelling pitch designed to move your emotions, influence your thoughts, and ultimately move you to action. And while these presenters have been working diligently on these presentations for the past several months, they have been preparing for moments like this their entire life. I am so excited to be here tonight with all of you for this wonderful culmination of talent. And so without further ado, let's set the stage for how this event will unfold in greater detail. We will have 5 startups present their pitches in 8 minutes. Following those presentations, there will be a 7-minute period of Q&A from our panel of judges. But that's not all, folks. In an effort to keep the evening fun and interactive for our virtual guests, while also maximizing the technical affordances of the virtual channel, we invite our guests to utilize the chat function to offer your questions, thoughts, and words to our presenters. All right, so we've got our presenters and the layout for the event, but this is a competition after all, so let's meet our panel of judges who will be faced with the tough decision of selecting our winner for this evening. I'd now like to invite each of the judges to take a brief moment to introduce themselves to our audience, beginning with Nicole Wagner.
Hi, my name is Nicole Wagner. I'm the president and CEO of Lamb Division. They manufacture a protein-based artificial retina to restore vision to millions of patients blinded by end-stage retinal degenerative diseases. We were actually a Wolff Prize winner in 2016, and I'm excited to be here to judge the competition tonight.
Thank you, Nicole. Up next is Judge Rach Brand.
Hi, my name is Rach Brand. I own a company called Brands on the Rise, where I work with young startups and help to build companies from the ground up. My specialty is go-to market fit, And I'm also helping to support through the lens of Launch Hartford. So I'm very excited to be here tonight.
Thank you.
Looking forward to hearing everyone.
Thank you, Rach. Our third judge is Konstantin Drakonakis.
Hopefully this will work. Hi, everyone. I'm Konstantin Drakonakis. I'm an investor and entrepreneur and company builder here in Connecticut. I'm a partner with Launch Capital and office. Let's see if this helps. And I'm also a venture partner with Connecticut Innovations, which is the state strategic venture capital arm. Great to be here and look forward to hearing all your pitches. Thanks.
Thank you, Konstantin. And our fourth and final judge for this evening is Julie Gianfrido.
Hi, thanks for having advisory services at FML. FML is a 13-partner, 85-person CPA firm founded in 2002, based here in Connecticut. We have full-service assurance and tax practices, as well as consulting and advisory practices. Importantly, we advise early-stage companies throughout their life cycle and until exit. Startup space. And my background is in private equity and venture capital. I joined FML in 2019. Looking forward to the presentations tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. As a reminder, we'll have approximately 7 minutes for your questions and comments following each presentation. And also tonight, we'll be featuring a new People's Choice Award sponsored by FML. So immediately after our final presentation, we'll invite you to scroll down and vote for your favorite pitch of the evening. Thank you to FML and Julie Gianfrido. All right, it's finally time. Let's get this show started with our first presentation of the evening.
Hi, my name is Ellen Sue, and I'm the Chief Product Officer of Wellings and the mentor for Engagement Solutions. I've spent my entire career developing digital health startups, most recently working to deliver products, technology, and services for patients with chronic respiratory disease. I've been working with the Engagement Solutions team for a while, and I've been consistently impressed with their integrity, their grit, and their determination to get things done. They've really embodied the lean startup spirit in their ability to build and iterate rapidly on their product to make sure that they are delivering the best possible option for their clients. They've been able to leverage their personal and professional expertise to both identify a problem, find clients, and develop solutions for them. I know you're going to be impressed by how much progress they've made and the product that they've developed. I know I have been. Really looking forward to their presentation, and I will hand it off to you, Shay.
Thank you, Ellen. Good evening, Wolff participants and judges. My name is Shay Kantner, and I'm the founder of Engagement Solutions. Back in 2018, I was working as an education consultant, and I went to a classroom to consult to a group of teachers in their room. But we were abruptly interrupted as some of the teaching staff and a principal were pulled into an urgent meeting with a family. A single mom, Kendra, had arrived in the building just 2 days prior. Her son had been diagnosed with autism. She was on a roller coaster of emotions as she was trying to cope with this new diagnosis, but also understand which services her son qualified for. Behavioral therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. She had no idea. She arrived with dozens of paper applications she had received. Every program wanted the same information, but on their specific form. They also wanted copies and faxes of school evaluations and plans, but she didn't have access to a scanner and a fax machine at home. Are you kidding me? Kendra was sad, angry, exhausted by this process. And this was taking more time than she or the teaching staff had to give. The principal later told me it took half the day to try to navigate program options and fill out paperwork for Kendra's son. Folks, find the keys to your DeLorean, grab your old pager and your Zach Morris-sized cell phone, because here in the 80s is where you will find families and providers trying to manage special education services with reams of paper and antiquated technology. It is no wonder that families and providers often fatigue from this process. Yet our market research shows that regardless of income level, 95% of families today access the internet through Wi-Fi on mobile devices. And now we can say there's an app for that. Introducing our virtual care concierge app. Our solution connects families with a virtual care concierge to support them through the process of finding and applying for programs. Our mission is to transform the communication system for special education services, and our goal is to make it easier for families to obtain the services that their children need. Had Kendra used our app, she would have been connected with a virtual care concierge who would have helped her find the programs she was looking for and store all of her son's personal information in a HIPAA-compliant and encrypted environment, giving her peace of mind and saving everyone tons of time. The current competitive landscape is dominated by methods that families have had to cobble together themselves. Manual strategies, note-taking apps, cloud storage solutions, they're all free and low cost, but they require a homegrown organizational strategy. For complicated cases, families are forced to hire special education advocates and lawyers, and they are experts, but they come at rates of $150 to $400 per hour. As a mission-driven business, our belief is that all families should have an easier connection to the necessary services for their children. So we've created a tiered family pricing model for different needs and income levels, with the level and frequency of our services increasing at the higher price tiers. According to the 2020 census, there are 47 million households with children in the United States. What's remarkable, 13.9 million of them have a child with a special health care need. So at our lowest price subscription level, that gives us a TAM of $1.7 billion. We are launching here in Connecticut. We are home to 161,000 of these children with special health care needs, and that gives us a SAM of 19 million. As founder and CEO, I bring 18 years of early childhood special education services, consultation, and administration to the team. I am also a mom to 2 children with learning disabilities. Jeff Kong is our president. He's an entrepreneur with 35 years experience in finance and a former hedge fund founder. Jeff brings the experience of investing in companies at all stages and raising billions of dollars in capital for his hedge fund strategies. Raj is our COO. He brings 18 years experience in tech initiatives at healthcare and insurance organizations. And we're also grateful to be supported by a robust advisory board with diverse skills, experiences, and perspectives. For our initial go-to-market strategy, we are undertaking a 2-prong approach. For our direct-to-consumer family product, we're launching a family beta program, enrolling an initial group of families who are eager to engage with our care concierge staff and streamline their paperwork. For our B2B solution, we're also partnered with a private behavioral therapy provider here in Connecticut to assist them with their cumbersome intake process. This also affords us the ability to co-market our family solution to their clients. But our sights are set on the future, where we can effect a true paradigm shift for all families by integrating the information flow across providers of all sizes nationwide. And to this end, we've initiated discussions with some state agencies and teachers and school districts here in Connecticut, as well as discussions with the family services and health departments in Orange County, Florida. Since the conclusion of Summer Fellowship 6 weeks ago, we have launched our family and provider beta programs. Our phase 1 family beta was 100% filled 4 days after sending out our invitation. We onboarded our pilot provider by digitizing their 32-page paper application, eliminating dozens of duplicative fields and saving their clients and themselves hours of time. Given the robust acceptance and take-up of our product, our projections have us at a break-even in 2023 and achieving an EBITDA of over $11 million by 2027. But these projections take into consideration special needs families and providers only. And we are looking to apply our technology and services to other markets, such as aging care and general family paperwork management. In addition to the personal funds committed by the founders and partners, we're proud to have been awarded support from many programs here in the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Connecticut. For the next 12 months, our plan is to implement our go-to-market strategy to turn our beta testing into commercial product offerings. So for the remainder of the quarter, we will use the personal and grant funds to run our family and provider beta tests. And after we complete these beta tests, we are looking to expand rapidly, both with the number of families and providers that we can serve, but also move towards our enterprise solution in 2022. CCEI, you have engaged us, pushed us, and enabled us to grow this summer. But we need your support again to deliver our products to the families who could use our help. Please know how immediate the impact of your award can be on our growth and mission. With $20,000 from the Wolff Venture Fund, we will be able to achieve 2 key milestones. To speed up the development of our automated features, which will allow us to drop our live staff support costs by 50%, and onboard an additional 100 families and a dozen providers. If you can think of one family who has had to manage this process, please reach out and connect with us. Folks, this is a problem that is desperate for a solution, an engagement solution. Once again, I'm Shay Kantner. On behalf of the entire team at Engagement Solutions, thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Okay, I think we'll start the Q&A. Is that right, Rory?
That's right.
Okay. Any judges have a question?
So my question was related to sorry, there's very bad feedback whenever we talk, the judges. I'm not sure if anyone else is experiencing that, but it's making me crazy. Oh, that's so much better. Thank you. So wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your background. It was really enlightening, and I have taken a special interest in this area as well. So it's been wonderful to listen to. One question I had was around your white label opportunities, and I assume when you mean enterprise level, you are planning to do a white label version of this. Is that true? And if so, what are your plans for that?
Yes, I mean, we're still in a customer discovery phase there, but yes, we would be white labeling our solutions so that school districts, state agencies would use our solution to integrate and share a login with families. And so then the cost is being borne by the agencies, the enterprise, and families are able to connect and integrate their information.
Okay, and I just had one follow on to that. Thank you for that answer. Have you also spoken to companies like a ZocDoc or similar service providers to be able to integrate with their systems?
So we've done some exploratory work with some of the major platforms that we would want to integrate with. So MyChart, Epic, Frontline Education, but not ZocDoc specifically, but it sounds like very similar to what you're asking.
Yeah, sorry, that was just an example. Okay, great, thank you.
Hey, Shane, love the presentation. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of feedback too. So quick question around, and I know you're doing a lot of customer discovery work, and you're going to be speaking with special ed teachers and reading specialists and those departments within the schools. But I'm wondering, and I might have missed this in your presentation, but how's the business model going to work there in terms of who pays for it? How do they get access? So where are the costs borne?
So it sounds like you're asking about our enterprise solution as well, where the cost would be borne by the school district, the state agency, the healthcare provider. So that's where the cost would be on the enterprise solution. On a private provider, so a special education therapist or a speech therapist who has their own independent practice, the cost would be borne by that practice, but at a different pricing level.
I have a question on how you identify and qualify the caregivers and providers to get the resources that these parents and people need. I mean, what is your process to do that? Are these people already identified in hospitals and school agencies, Or are you going out and sort of qualifying these people, validating the services that they're giving, and then integrating that into your system as well?
So right now, it's individualized research that's being done by our virtual care concierge staff. So they are using existing databases that are out there to do some manual research. And that's a place where we'd love to automate and make our own database. But we are balancing that with, for every caregiver out there and for every family, there's a perfect match, and not every caregiver and family is going to be a great match. So we can make a lot of recommendations, right? And we can help them to research and get down to maybe a short list of the providers that they can then vet themselves. But that in itself saved them from going through 50, 30 providers before they got to the one that met the match for them.
And is the process of identifying providers, is that cost, if I was a parent, is that costing me, besides time, dollars and appointments and things like that, to be able to do this? Or, beyond, the time savings, where else is there potential cost savings?
On the family side, absolutely. I mean, to find a match with, we all maybe can relate to this about maybe a doctor or a specialist that we are trying to see for ourselves. And if you don't have the right match with that person, yes, you bore the cost of that appointment and the time of going to multiple appointments until you find the right match. So yes, that would be a cost savings for the family as well.
Thank you.
And how do those costs compare? If I were to do it on my own versus working with your company?
So the cost of, just to clarify, the cost of going to those provider appointments, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, time, money, how does it all add up, and why it's most efficient?
Yeah, so that's going to be very, very individualized answer. So that's going to be based on what your insurance covers. That's going to be based on whether the provider is in network or out of network. But the range could be from several hundred to several $1,000s that you'll spend going around to find the right match for a provider.
Thank you. And we have time for one more question.
I have a question about compliance.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of how you're, and I'm hearing the feedback again. Sorry. Oh, so much better. Thank you. So regarding compliance, and when you set out to do this, are you drawing from specific systems that are around compliance, or are you pulling from what's actually being offered and from the providers themselves? Like, how is that working?
Right. So for our family solution, all of the documentation that we will be storing is coming straight from the family. So there's less of a compliance concern, but we are still meeting the need of our customers, which is they want it to be in an encrypted and compliant environment. On the provider side, we're helping them to digitize their documents and then have their information flow into their own compliant storage system. Does that answer what you we're thinking?
Yeah, and then the third piece of it would be the federal requirements around compliance and how you're able to layer those on top. So
Right.
is that the third layer?
We are using a third-party solution that already meets those compliance. And so in that case, we are able to use that third party on our platform, and that keeps us compliant and keeps us within all of the regulations.
Okay.
Okay, so that is time on questions. So thank you, Shay.
Thank you both.
And Engagement Solutions.
Thanks.
My name is John Hoffert, and I'm a startup advisor with CT Next, which is a subsidiary of Kinetic Innovations. I'm also an instructor with the Accelerate UConn program, and it was through the Accelerate UConn program that I came to know Reactimol. So in my various roles, I've worked with a lot of startups, and one of the strong indicators, at least in my experience, of success is how willing the founders are to learn and then to apply that learning to move their company forward. So when I met Reactimol, like a lot of other startups founded by scientists and technical types, they started their journey really with very limited business and startup experience. But what was nice about working with them was how quickly they learned and how much progress they made in applying that learning. So the presentation that you're about to see is the result of that progress. My hope for them in the future is that they continue on this path of discovery, both scientifically and with regard to their business.
Good evening. We invented a new technology that can be tremendously beneficial for chemical and pharmaceutical manufacturing. Have you thought about how much hazardous waste pharmaceutical companies produce when they make medicines? Take all the waste produced in the past year and put it into 55-gallon drums, and you will cover this entire shaded area. At current growth rate, the generation of hazardous waste will double in 12 years. Our technology can eliminate a sizable portion of this waste. We will do that by improving chemical reactions that use catalysts. Catalysts are special molecules that make reactions go faster. They are used for manufacturing of almost every medicine. While they are tremendously important, they come with trade-offs. Many catalysts are very difficult to remove, but you cannot leave them in medicines because of their toxicity. Our technology is a nanoscale capsule that looks like a wiffle ball. The combination of nanometer-thin shells and controlled pores keeps the catalyst trapped inside, but allows the substrate to come in and the product to come out very quickly without any hindrance. We accomplish the reaction and separate the catalyst from the product in the same step, so we avoid an extra process that would otherwise generate a lot of waste. We designed the product filled with these wiffle balls containing catalysts that can be plugged into existing manufacturing processes. Our prospective customers said that they first try out the synthesis in the laboratory, then scale it up in a pilot plant, and finally go into full production. We designed our product to support these 3 stages of process development. This smaller prototype is for the laboratory scale, and the larger one is for the pilot plant. Our business model is to make these catalytic columns and sell them directly to our end users, pharmaceutical manufacturers. Because the separation of the catalyst from the product becomes much simpler, the manufacturers will generate less waste and reduce the number of steps in the process. Currently, industry spends roughly $13 billion on buying catalysts every year. The catalysts that would especially benefit from our technology constitute nearly $5 billion annually. Within that segment, we will first target catalysts based on these 3 metals, especially palladium. Why do we think that palladium is the right target? That came directly from customer interviews. When we talked to 20 process chemists from different companies, including Pfizer, Boehringer Ingelheim, AstraZeneca, Merck, and Eli Lilly, every single one mentioned palladium. They said that current technologies leave a lot of palladium behind. This is why you need a lot of extra effort to clean out the product. Our laboratory demonstration showed that our technology eliminates the problem without compromising the efficiency of the reaction. That means that you can design a simpler, more efficient manufacturing sequence and cut back on generating hazardous waste. To understand the market potential better, we also modeled projected savings. The majority of pharmaceuticals are in this space, annual production volume between 10 and 500 tons, and the amount of waste between 50 and 200 tons per ton of product. This analysis helped us develop a pricing model. For example, we need to make 38 full-scale columns to support the 250-ton production volume. If we charge the customers $2.8 million, half of what they save, we can set the price of each column at $74,000, while our cost of manufacturing will be a little over $4,000 per unit. These cost savings alone look attractive, but we will also generate value for the customers in other ways, promoting corporate responsibility by reducing waste, facilitating regulatory compliance, and saving time, resources, and more money by simplifying manufacturing. How do we get our product to customers? We need to put our product into the hands of people who design manufacturing processes. In our customer discovery, we learned that adoption of any new technology begins with these people. Our marketing strategy, therefore, is a very targeted approach aimed at connecting with process chemists. We are in a perfect position to do that. We are scientists from the UConn chemistry department, and we can translate their needs into the product design. We speak the same language. These companies are full of incredibly smart scientists who are always looking for new tools to do their job better. You should have been present during our meetings. We got a lot of questions like, how soon can you get these columns for us to try? Or can you make enough of your columns to support our production volume? Yes, we can. After our first meeting, Pfizer backed our idea with a $5,000 seed grant. What is more important than the money? We have a channel of communication, and we are working on having 2 specific catalysts they use in their production incorporated into our wiffle balls. We also presented our technology at the Pharmaceutical Roundtable to the scientists from all major pharmaceutical companies. We asked them, what would make you excited about this product? And the answers define the benchmark for this prototype. We anticipate reaching these benchmarks by the end of the year. We also received seed funding from UConn, and the underlying technology was funded by the National Science Foundation. Our initial work will be R&D heavy, so we are applying for SBIR funding. Our immediate goal is to validate our product in a real-world environment. This is what winning the Wolff competition would mean for us. With this support, we will be able to get the pre-launch version of our product into the hands of our customers much sooner than this timeline shows. Within 3 months after that, we will launch a commercial version of the laboratory and pilot plant models. In other words, if we receive the support from this competition, we will move this timeline up by 4 to 6 months. Furthermore, I have no doubt that getting this recognition will broaden the customer base for beta testing and will strengthen our early sales, which will be critical for the success of our venture. We will launch the production model as soon as our first customer is ready for full-scale production. We will reach the break-even point with the aggregate production volume at 40 tons per year, expected before the end of year 3. We anticipate that the real growth will occur after the first 3 years. The good news is that the production method is part of the FDA approval for pharmaceuticals. That means each product that uses our technology will give us a continuing revenue stream for the entire production run, which often exceeds 20 years. We expect that after the first successful implementation, we will expand our technology to other product lines within the same company. Simultaneously, we will work with other customers to integrate our technology into their production. We can serve multiple customers without each one getting unhappy, since they compete in drug sales rather than in production methods. Our growth projections reflect that. Different colors indicate different customers, and different bands show different product lines. In addition to this business opportunity, 2 things are important to us and keep us going. First, it feels tremendously gratifying to take what was born in our laboratory and make it practical. And second, we feel that this idea is a perfect example of sustainable manufacturing, a scientific breakthrough that allows us to retain unspoiled environment without compromising on progress in producing life-saving technologies. We have a timely opportunity to make chemical and pharmaceutical manufacturing cleaner, simpler, and more sustainable. With your support, we will make it happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the judges?
In terms of competitive set, who would you say your largest competitor is now, or is this a totally new technology that does not currently exist?
It is a new technology because we have a way to retain this catalyst within our wiffle balls. But in broad strokes, currently there are 2 major methods. You either do the batch production, that is, you take the catalysts and put them into a large vessel, and then clean it up, isolate the products, and throw away the catalyst, because pharmaceutical companies don't reuse the catalyst for regulatory compliance. The other approach is to attach this catalyst to a surface, and then the reaction occurs only on that interface. So both methods are not great, because in one case you have fast reaction, but then you lose a lot of catalyst and the processing is a nightmare. If you put it on a surface, then the reaction itself is hard. You need to use a lot more catalyst than you would otherwise. So with our approach, we combine the advantages of both of these methods. And we use that by this proprietary wiffle ball technology. So that's why it has the advantage over existing competitive processes.
Great. Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eugene, nice presentation. I just wanted to make sure I understand the technology. Is this process of using the catalysts in this fashion helping to collapse or remove the use of solvents as well? Or is it really just using less catalysts in a more efficient way?
It's both. You would use less catalyst in a more efficient way because by combining the advantages of this homogeneous and heterogeneous modes, you make sure that every single atom of your palladium or whatever you use as a catalyst is used to the maximum efficiency. But because you separate the catalyst from the product in the same step, you don't need to do additional purification. So you also remove the need to use solvents and other post-processing, often very expensive methods. So both.
Thank you.
How difficult is it to adjust the method that you're doing for different catalysts?
Well, this is the great thing about it, because once we learn how to put one catalyst into these wiffle balls, and again, this is the packaging for existing catalysts, so we put them in there, then the way we keep the wiffle balls in the columns is exactly the same no matter what the catalyst is inside. So that's why the production would be exactly the same for all sorts of catalysts. And yes, of course, there are some catalysts that are very easy to incorporate, but in the end, the major part is putting these catalytic capsules into the columns, and that would be exactly the same for any catalyst that you would use.
And are these columns reusable, or are these one time?
The idea behind that is to use them in a continuous flow manufacturing. So you plug this in, and then as long as the catalyst works, you can continue producing the product. And of course, there is limited lifetime, but we expect that that will give us much longer life of the catalyst than what current technologies offer.
Thank you.
So related
And
to
in
your
terms
patent,
of cost savings, oh, sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Julie. Go ahead.
Oh, in terms of cost savings and time savings, could you give us an example?
Well, of course, it has to be ranges because every manufacturing process is unique, and therefore there would be different amounts saved. But let's say there would be 5 steps that are used right now. One of them uses this catalyst. We take that and reduce the amount of waste in that step by 95%. And then because we can, for example, do this particular catalytic step late, not early in the production that people would need to do right now, we can redesign the production sequence, and instead of doing multiple steps, shorten that. So the overall waste generated could be reduced by 50%. That is total for the production of that particular active pharmaceutical ingredient. And then you save on energy, you save on labor costs, so you can cut back on the production cost by 50% total. And of course, these are different ranges. So for some pharmaceuticals, that would be even more impactful than that. For some, it would be a little less, but still, we believe that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of pharmaceuticals where there would be substantial savings based on this technology.
Thank you.
So I'd like to ask a question related to all of that, both of the two last questions. So when you mentioned that you have a patent, are you thinking about licensing this ultimately so that you can actually share the IP and retain some value as you roll it out?
We thought about it. And in fact, we spoke with our customers. We had this idea initially, and we had to abandon that because every company we spoke with said that they are really not interested in licensing the technology from us. They want to buy a product that they could plug into their existing process and have freedom to operate. So Sergey, Kevin, and I got together, we looked at each other and said, well, that really means that we just need to produce these columns and sell them directly. So we needed to commit to manufacturing.
So with your first one with palladium, how quickly will you be producing the other ones?
Well, this relates to Nicole's question because the chemistry would be very similar, which means we believe the palladium is a low-hanging fruit because everybody has these issues with palladium. But then we would expand as soon as we can, and probably we'll do a lot of things in parallel. That is, we will keep rolling palladium out in several companies, but we will look at rhodium, ruthenium, or whatever makes a lot of sense, whatever presents challenges for our customers. So that's why we would need to be in constant contact and see what is the most important for them.
Thank you.
Great, and I would imagine onboarding once you're in a customer makes it that much easier to have a platform for your business and for theirs.
Yes.
We have time for one more quick question. Anything from the judges? No? Okay. Well, that is great. Thank you, and thanks to Reactimal.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Ryan Gresh. I'm the CEO and founder of the Feel Good Lab, where we make healthier over-the-counter pain relievers for people that want less pills and less side effects. And I've been working with Elijah for about a year now and the team at Pro Velocity Bats. One of the most exciting things for me is it's really the intersection of three of my passions: sports, consumer packaged goods, and as an ex-engineer from the University of Connecticut in mechanical engineering, it's really about the awesome technology that him and his team have been able to develop and bring to market. And over the past year, I've really witnessed some amazing growth. I mean, they've more than doubled their revenues. They're in market already with an awesome product, which mostly targeted at the elite athlete level. They've launched a mass product for that youth athlete that's just been launched, and it's really impressive to see the progress there and what they're going to be able to open up with that whole new market at a much larger demographic. And lastly, they've launched an app which adds a technology aspect even above the mechanical side of the product, really allowing the consumer to understand digitally the improvements they're making with their swing and allow the bat to communicate with the phone in order to give better feedback. So there's a lot of amazing companies. I know many of them that are part of this contest, but one of the things that I think is so special about what Elijah is doing is really the pace that he's been able to scale and the position that he's at right now with the business. You know, I know this money is going to go right to the bottom line for him. It's going to drive sales, it's going to help with inventory, and it's going to be helping with scaling the app and getting all those things out to market. So I wish him the best of luck.
Good evening, Wolff participants, mentors, and judges. My name is Elijah Tatel, and I'm a senior engineering student, former baseball player, and the president and founder of the Pro Velocity Bat. We all have our individual passions and are told that if we put in the work, we will succeed in reaching our goals. But I found, what I imagine all of us have come across through the reality of life, is that hard work isn't always sufficient. The 10 years before I became an engineering student at UConn, I was a passionate baseball player with the goal of playing at the Division I collegiate level. Everyone from amateurs to million-dollar pros knows that hitting is the single most important skill in what will get you to that next level. And to train my swing, I did everything everyone else did. I bought training equipment. I poured my life savings into a batting cage for my backyard. And I even trained with a professional batting coach every single week from ages 12 to 18. But when I came to be a junior in high school, I hit that wall. That wall we all hit when the work we were putting in is not enough to reach our goals. I felt confused and frustrated because after dedicating years and thousands of dollars to my baseball swing, I had no Division I offers. I knew I had more potential, but to continue my passion for baseball, I needed a better solution. A better solution that did not exist when I was a junior in high school 5 years ago. My product is the Pro Velocity Bat, and the Pro Velocity Bat is the best solution on the market to unlock a hitter's maximum potential. Training with my product accelerated my own progress and opened the door for me to play Division I baseball, and is currently helping thousands of overjoyed customers from Little League to the MLB unlock their full potential. Now, I want to show you how my bat works and why some of the best athletes in the world are training with this. The Pro Velocity Bat has a sliding barrel component, and as you swing, the centrifugal force drives the barrel to the other end of the bat. But you can attach these resistance bands that resist that motion. So in order to get the double click, the barrel going all the way out and recoiling, the player must swing with perfect mechanics and enough bat speed. If they don't, and they swing with any inefficiencies, the barrel will only go some portion of the way and recoil, resulting in a single click. So the Pro Velocity Bat reinforces proper mechanics every single time it is swung while simultaneously developing a player's strength and bat speed. We put this bat in the hands of professional baseball players and conducted a study that over the course of 3 weeks, yes, only 3 weeks, they improved their bat speed by 10%. These grown men did not get 10% stronger. While the Pro Velocity Bat does improve a batter's strength, what's more is it teaches a batter how to swing efficiently. To frame what 10% means, halfway through his last season in the Tampa Bay Rays minor league organization, I got a text from Jackson McGowan. He said that because of the Pro Velocity Bat, he had been able to hit 5 home runs in just half a season. That was more than his entire pro career combined. I checked up on Jackson to see how the remainder of his season went, and he finished with 17 home runs. That is more than 4 times as much as the combined home runs he hit in his entire professional career before training with the Pro Velocity Bat. And because of the bat, Jackson is now realizing his potential and is progressing towards a lucrative and elusive major league contract. And there's no other training device that could have facilitated his progress this quickly. Before the Pro Velocity Bat existed, Jackson trained with the same underwhelming devices and programs that I trained with when I was trying to get recruited to play in college. The closest for a player serious about improving their swing are incomparable. All other tools and equipment are either one-dimensional, flawed, or have anecdotal efficacy at best. For any customer doing their due diligence when looking to improve their swing, there is no better solution than the Pro Velocity Bat. It can be used anywhere in the world without the need of any additional equipment. It is the only batting trainer that can be used against pitching of any speed. It will improve bat speed, fix swing mechanics, while remaining cheaper than any of its closest competitors. We currently offer this solution in the form of 2 products that serve the older segments of baseball players. The Extreme Impact is catered towards professional hitters, and the Standard is better suited for high school varsity to college players. This month, though, we are really excited to introduce our new Youth Bat, which will expand our reach into the Little League market and grow our market potential to $1.6 billion in the U.S. alone. It is my company's goal to dominate this $1.6 billion market, and we're off to a hot start when I launched the Pro Velocity Bat in January of 2020. By year end, we finished with $110,000 in sales while maintaining a 40% profit margin. And so far in 2021, we have already accumulated $294,000 in sales before the holiday season, which last year resulted in more than half of our year-end revenue. What's most exciting about these numbers is that our business is already profitable and has had a positive cash flow since year 1. We expect these numbers to rise significantly with the introduction of the Youth Pro Velocity Bat. Already, the Youth Bat has brought in $10,000 in pre-order sales this month alone. For reference, that is more than half of the revenue we received in March only 6 months ago. And a major force kickstarting these sales has been our strategic marketing campaign. Our market strategy uses influencers to validate the product and then drive people to the top of the marketing funnel. And then we aggressively retarget potential customers over social media. So far, the combination of these 2 methods has been effective in driving sales and has done so inexpensively. The other main portion of our costs arises from manufacturing and assembly, which we do with 2 machine shops in New Jersey that offer a reliable and scalable solution. Our slim cost structure and premium pricing has led to very high margins on all of our products. This has been partly made possible by the guidance and mentorship I've received from my 2 partners. I work with 2 people who have small stakes in the company, Andrew Tatel, my father, and his former business partner, Greg Savatier. Together, they started a company called Landice Treadmills in the 1990s, which was the Consumer Report top-rated treadmill for 14 consecutive years. While this team has accomplished a lot in a very short period, there's a lot I want to do to bring the company to the next level. And it starts with the Pro Velocity app. Since Summer Fellowship ended in August, we have created and published an app that gives a batter quantitative feedback on their swing. Fortunately and unfortunately, due to the sudden spike in orders we've received this fall, we had to reallocate our free cash to keep up inventory, and this curtailed the additional features I wanted to add to the app. However, the Wolff grant will allow us to continue developing this app and create what we envision as the Pro Velocity ecosystem. In its finalized version, the app will allow players to create profiles as well as share and compare their progress across the app and other social media. In addition, my friend and world-renowned baseball trainer Casey Smith will develop a training regimen that can be accessed through the app, so users will have access to a library of drills and routines to enhance their Pro Velocity experience. An experience they will interact with throughout their day even when they are not training with the Pro Velocity bat. For the company, this will create one of the most compelling marketing messages ever experienced in the baseball training industry. But I need your help. I need your help to maximize the potential of my company so I can unleash the full potential of every batter in America. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm excited to answer your questions.
Hey, Elijah.
Great.
Oh, sorry, Nicole. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. That was a great presentation. It's a great concept. The obvious question is, how do you keep others from copying you? Have you, filed for intellectual property?
As well.
Sorry, I missed that.
Oh, sorry. We have a trademark on the word Pro Velocity, and we also have a patent on the technology itself.
Great, thanks.
Nicole, did you want to go?
Yeah, I mean, this motion on IP, which was just answered. I guess my question here in terms of the app formation, have you ever thought about this even too in terms of like video games or something like that? I mean, for younger people to get more involved and excited about this. I mean, I can see definitely the training in the app for more advanced batters, hitters, players, but I'm just wondering if you thought about something like that for younger students.
We have not, but that is definitely something I can start considering.
I had a quick question on your TAM. You mentioned 1.6 billion for the youth market. What do you have in total addressable market?
This is the total addressable market. That's including the youth.
That's the total.
Yeah, the youth market is by far the largest segment because it really narrows as you get closer to the top, and we've been really skimming the more elite levels in baseball before the introduction of our youth bat. But yeah, 1.6 is the total addressable market.
Okay, and do you have other line extensions or other areas you're thinking about increasing your presence outside of just the one bat?
Well, we have the three bats, the three models. There's the Extreme Impact, Standard, and Youth, and it kind of goes down. The Extreme Impact is catered towards professional hitters, Standard is collegiate high school, and then the Youth bat is for below that middle school and little league. But we have also flirted with the idea of other sports that also have swings that the technology is transferable to, like golf or tennis. Golf is probably the first that we would extend to, but yeah.
Thanks.
And a question on training. Is this something that coaches will use, or is this something individual players use on their own time?
Both. When we first started, our first sales came from private coaches that were using it in their lessons, and then it slowly started to trickle down into parents of players that are training with them, and now we have sales from collegiate programs, professional organizations, professional players, but the majority of our sales as of late has been parents of players trying to get to that next level, whatever level that may be.
And then when you look at a team and you look at your app and the recurring revenue potential, is it per person? How do you price that? What does that look like?
So the app I envision as being a free app that you get as part of buying the Pro Velocity bat. So every single person that buys a Pro Velocity bat will have access to the app and will be able to train with all the features that we are going to add into the app.
Do you think $20,000 is enough? I mean, do you have how if you can continue to get more and more sales, do you think you'll need to do another fundraising round to keep up with sales and increase your revenue?
I don't actually. I think we had a sudden spike of orders, so we had to do another batch of inventory, which was costly, which is why I can't dedicate our free cash to my vision and larger things that I would like to do. But so far, the way that we've ran the companies, we started really, really slow with prototype batch sizes and then slowly progressed. So we're doing well as far as having cash on hand. And as far as the app, we did create, there is an app on the App Store that you can download right now that has a very well functional feature to it of telling a batter their quantitative feedback when they swing the Pro Velocity bat. But there's a lot I want to add to that. And the $20,000 will almost exclusively go towards that app and to fully flush it out, to fully flush out the app that we created in the 6 weeks between summer fellowship ending and now.
And how far away are you from launching the youth bat?
The youth bat launched. We have finally started sending out our first orders. We opened it up for pre-orders the start of this month, and we finally started shipping.
And how much is that bat?
That bat is $445 list, but we regularly have a $50 discount on our website.
Okay, and how are you finding those sales in comparison to the higher level?
We haven't really started marketing it. We have a plan for a marketing campaign exclusively for the youth bat, but it has mostly been through word of mouth and people that have been excited. It's been a lot of repurchases of people that have purchased the existing Pro Velocity bats and then want to add the youth to their arsenal for lessons or for a younger child potentially. But yeah, it's a lot of it has been through word of mouth, and we haven't exclusively marketed it just yet.
Got it. Okay, one more quick question. Anyone have a question?
I wanted to ask about the youth improvement. So in the professional improvement, 3 weeks, 10% increase, phenomenal. Have you done testing with the youth markets to see how quickly they improve?
We've done less formal studies. It's mostly been trainers telling me how their students have progressed. So I didn't want to include that, but it's generally much higher than professional players. Professional players are like the epitome, the best athletes in the world, so they have less room to grow, versus younger kids have just much more, a much higher ceiling that they're trying to reach. So it has been significantly higher than the 10%, but I haven't done formal studies to really quantitate it, to gather that information.
All right, well, that was excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm an entrepreneur living in Chicago, Illinois. I'm a former UConn student myself, student entrepreneur. I started the company called Voda out of the UConn entrepreneurial ecosystem, went on to run it and sell that company. And now I'm living in Chicago working on a new startup. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Raina through the UConn Innovation Quest program. I am one of the mentors of the program. Really took a liking to Raina and have had the pleasure of helping her and mentoring her since she graduated from the Innovation Quest program last year. I am so grateful to have the opportunity to be a mentor for Raina. She is one of the hardest working people I know. It's just the most impressive thing to watch her grow her company while being in school at the same time. As a solo entrepreneur, it's absolutely amazing. The mission behind Queen Bee is absolutely fantastic. And her story of doing research in the field and being inspired since she was a young girl. But beyond that, one of the things that I enjoy the most about working with her is her ability to take input and feedback, and then work on something and come back the next week, and have a tangible improvement. So whenever we talk, we leave with, here are some things that we need to get done, whether that's, improving her website or working on her manufacturing or distribution. And the next week when we check in, she always has like, here's what I did, and here's the next things I'm working on, and here's what happened based on what we talked about, right? So that's just a testament to her level of commitment, her level of determination, and it's so amazing with me to work for her because that's fulfilling, right? As a mentor, when you give feedback, she actually takes it to heart and works on it, and then you can see her growth from those interactions. So I'm just absolutely thrilled for all of her success so far. I know she's going to do great, and she's already doing great. So it's just been my pleasure to support her throughout this past couple of years.
Thank you so much, Matt, for that kind introduction, and hello, everyone. My name is Raina Jane, and I'm the founder and CEO of Queen Bee. So it all started my junior year of high school when I joined the Science Research Program and was looking for a project to pursue. I kept seeing on the news headlines that millions of bees were dying each year because of colony collapse disorder. I've grown up with the principles of live and let live, to value every life, no matter how small. So to see millions of bees dying for something that was human-induced struck a chord with me. I went back to my high school and I created a device to help eliminate varroa mite infestations from honeybee hives, the root cause of colony collapse disorder. But then when COVID hit, my lab shut down and I couldn't create the device anymore. Although it was a difficult time, it made me question, why is it just beekeepers who have the power to save the bees? Shouldn't it be non-beekeepers as well? Because the scale of impact is so much greater that way. Along the same time, I had set up an experimental beehive in my backyard, and although this wasn't the purpose of it, I used to take fresh honey and royal jelly straight from the hive and mix it with ginger and turmeric, which is actually a recipe passed down from my great-grandmother and been used in my family for over 5 generations. And I used to create this immune support shot to boost immunity in COVID. But when my beehive died, and I couldn't create the product anymore, I looked at the market for similar products, but was shocked to not be able to find anything that tasted remotely as good. All I found was a ginger shot that I had to wince while taking. So realizing there was a need in the market, I thought, what if I can commercialize this one product? But in an effort to save the bees, and it's not just beekeepers who can have an impact, but everyone, a pollinator tree is planted for every bottle sold. So that's when Queen Bee was formed, which once again, our main line is an immune support shot with honeybee byproducts. So the ingredients are royal jelly, raw honey, lemon juice, turmeric, cayenne pepper, and ginger. And all our ingredients are sourced fresh and sustainably from vendors all over the world. The way I like to describe the taste is a spicy taste lightly sweetened with honey and a tangy flavor of lemon citrus, all packed into a 2-ounce shot. Consumers currently take it as a daily detox, first thing when they wake up in the morning and before they go to sleep at night, because that's when your body absorbs the most nutrients. The ginger shot category, the immune support shot category has been growing rapidly. Pre-COVID, it was an $800 million market, and now it's a $1.2 billion market just a year later, which only goes to show how the demand for these products is higher than ever before. Yet it's so surprising to see that the products in the market doesn't necessarily reflect this growth. If you look to the market, you'll find nothing more than a ginger or turmeric shot that you have to wince while taking. Why do good-for-you products always have to taste so bad? So Queen Bee is changing that. We not only have a good-for-you product that tastes really good, but with the value-add innovation of the honeybee byproducts, in particular the royal jelly, and our commitment to sustainability, these 3 factors are things that consumers not only want, but are actively looking for when they roam the shelves of their local supermarket. So a little bit more about royal jelly. Bees are really, really cool. All bees are born the same, and one bee is fed the substance called royal jelly, which, just because of this, becomes a queen, hence the name of the company, Queen Bee. It can lay 2,000 eggs a day and lives 25 times longer just because it was fed this one substance. Its uses date back to Cleopatra to increase life longevity and ward off illness, and in COVID, it's been used greatly as an immune supporter for thousands of families, not just in the United States, but globally. After since recipe testing in my parents' kitchen a little less than a year ago, to graduating to a commercial kitchen, to now a full-service co-packer, able to produce over 25,000 bottles a day. After a lot of rejection, but even more persistence, I'm proud to say that we launched on the shelves of Avon Whole Foods Market on September 1st. 1 month since post-launching in the Avon Whole Foods Market, we became one of the best-selling shots in the entire store and are selling an average of 15 cases a month. Our good performance in this one store led me to have a meeting with additional whole body buyers in multiple regions, and I'm excited to say that along with this one store, we also got accepted to 110 more Whole Foods locations in the Northeast and the North Atlantic area, which will be having regional launches there throughout the next month. So just scaling up the 1 month store revenue to 110 stores, we're projected to be doing about $44,000 in monthly revenue. With expansion, distribution naturally follows. So I'm excited also to announce that just about 2 weeks ago, I signed with Rainforest Distribution, one of the leading natural food distributors in the health and wellness space. And they will be dramatically increasing our retail presence. So not only will they be distributing to the 110 Whole Foods stores, but they will also be distributing to farmers markets, local mom and pop stores, and larger chains as well, like Sprouts, King's, and Wegmans. So totaling up to 500 stores come December of 2021, and scaling our 110 store model to 500 stores, we're projected to be doing about $200,000 in monthly revenue. Right now, we're making a 40% profit margin in per bottle sold. It takes us $1.35 to create one bottle. We wholesale to distribution for $2.25. Distribution wholesales it to Whole Foods at $3, and it retails at $4.99. And because we're growing by leaps and bounds, all the profit is put back into the business to help us grow faster and larger. Although I like to measure impact by monthly revenue, I also like to measure impact on the environment. It started with the mission to save the bees, and it's going to end with the mission to save the bees. I'm proud to say that since launching less than a year ago, we've planted over 1,000 trees in sub-Saharan Africa, restored 13 metric tons of carbon dioxide from the environment, and like I say, every day when I wake up, today is day one, and we're just getting started. We partnered with an organization, Trees for the Future, where in sub-Saharan Africa, farmers who don't necessarily have a stable income are taught to plant these agricultural trees that not only help boost the local economy and help the environment, but also provide a stable income to them and their families. I remember reading this article about 3 years ago of this one Brazilian couple whose land died in a forest fire, and they single-handedly restored it by planting over 2 million trees over the course of 2 decades. And I look at the before and after photo and think, if one couple is able to have this impact, what can't I do with a brand of thousands of supporters? One thing I want to prove through Queen Bee is that profitability and sustainability are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they can go hand in hand. In fact, they should. I would argue that a for-profit company with a nonprofit mission mindset is not only a good business model, but perhaps the best way to maximize both growth of the company and social impact. We're growing a lot, and although it's exciting, it's also a little bit scary. With growth, the need for capital naturally follows. And one of the biggest things I hope to use the Wolff New Venture funds for is the funding of our launch of 2 additional SKUs, which are good for you pixie sticks in the sense for purposes of immune support and stress. We're having a test launch with our co-packer next month, and we're having 10,000 units of each product, next week, and having 10,000 units of each product printed. And the second thing I hope to use the Wolff New Venture funds for is getting on a team member that can help with the supply chain and operations side of the business. Especially in COVID, supply chain has been such a mess. And in any consumer product goods startup, there are many, many layers to it, from ingredient suppliers all over the world to a co-packer, to then a warehouse, to then a distribution center, to tens of distribution trucks, to the back of a Whole Foods warehouse, to the shelves of Whole Foods, and finally in the hands of a consumer. The supply chain can break at any time. And one of the biggest things I hope to use the funds for is to get on a team member that can help streamline this process so I can focus on what I'm good at, the marketing and execution and growth of the business. Thank you all so much for listening, and I'd be very excited to answer your questions.
I ask about your 2 new products.
Sure.
Can you explain that? Do they go something, or are they like a single shot, like the immune shot?
Yeah, so this is just like a ginger shot that you take, ginger turmeric shot with honeybee byproducts that you take like first thing in the morning as a daily detox. But these two products are like good for you pixie sticks in the sense for purposes of immune support and stress. And the biggest reason that I wanted to go into the powder market was, and the key ingredients in these two products are propolis, which is a honeybee byproduct as well. So adding onto the theme of trying to save the honeybees. And one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to go into this market was this product, although it's been done really, really good in retail, it's not necessarily a very shipping friendly product. And I really want to boost the direct to consumer sales that we have. And so these two products are not only shipping friendly, but are high volume products as well. And so that's what I hope to accomplish. And it would also allow us to reach a broader target market. These two new products are actually also being introduced to Rainforest's distribution system. So it will be, before launching in Whole Foods, it'll be in lots of smaller mom and pop stores like King's Market and smaller chains before going accepted into Whole Foods as well. But we have gotten accepted into Whole Foods with these 10 products, with these two products, into the 10 Whole Foods in the Connecticut area.
And mix them with water, or how
Yeah.
are they taken?
Yeah, sure. So you actually just, it's in a stick pack. So you just rip off the top and you take it in your mouth and it dissolves. And that's actually something that I was really excited about, that there's nothing yet like this on the market. Everything else you just pour in water and you take. And so if you're not comfortable with taking it straight in your mouth as like a dissolvable powder, you can put it in water as well and mix it, but it's meant to take just in your mouth and it dissolves. So it's nothing like this yet exists on the market, and that's why so many of our retail partners are excited to bring it into their distribution system.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can you tell me a little bit about your team? I mean, you've done a remarkable job. How do you think about growing beyond? I mean, you mentioned bringing one person on, but I think to quickly ramp up, you'll need certainly more people. Can you tell me your plans for growth there?
Yeah, definitely. So I think right now I am on the process of getting this one team member who's going to help streamline the supply chain. And one thing to mention is that although I don't necessarily have any employees at the moment, and it's just a one-man show, we have lots of like freelancers in a sense. So people who work on the website and the designing of the products, who make sure that the new products are FDA compliant, our co-packer who's able to help us ship the direct-to-consumer orders. And so the biggest thing I'm trying to do is make sure that everything that can be outsourced is outsourced, and all the growth of the company is something that I'm focused on. But that's something that I really hope to do with the Wolff New Venture Funds, is not only get on a new team member, but be able to outsource more of the stuff that I'm doing right now that I don't necessarily need to do. But I think eventually I would like to have a team about 4 or 5 people who can really help with the supply chain and operation side of the business, so I can focus on my strengths, which is the growth, execution, and marketing.
And in terms of compliance, I mean, what do you need to do for food compliance, or is there a regulatory process? Is it go under health and wellness? Where does this fit in?
Yeah, sure. So with this shot, I learned by mistake, but I started my parents' kitchen. Then I went to a commercial kitchen and realized that I needed a bunch of paperwork, like BPCS certification, which is if you have an acidified product, which it is because of the lemon juice, it has a pH of below 4.6. You need to be certified. So then I couldn't get that certification, so I went to a co-packer who was able to provide it. And once you work with a co-packer, they really have all the regulatory pieces settled in terms of the manufacturing of it. But when I was working in a commercial kitchen, somebody from the DCP, Department of Consumer Protection, came to the commercial kitchen to make sure that I was following everything that was done in it's called safety approval letter that one of the labs, it's like a food safety lab up in Farmington, Connecticut, that validates our entire process. So like mix up all the ingredients, heat it to a certain temperature, make sure it's a certain pH. When you bottle it, it has to the bottle has to be sterilized, so they go through all that process. And the second biggest thing is just making sure that the label is FDA compliant. So we work with a third-party organization that checks both for the shot and our 2 additional new products as well.
Thanks. So you're scaling really quickly. And one of my questions that I had was, how are you going to guarantee scale? And certainly quality seemed to be an important aspect of what you're doing. So how will you guarantee that as you scale so quickly?
Yeah, so quality has always been one of the biggest, I guess, principles of the brand. And so right now, as I mentioned, supply chain is really broken. We have 3 trusted backup suppliers for every single one of our ingredients. And so when one is not able to sustain, we have a second as qualified and able to provide the same quality of ingredients that would deliver to the co-packer. And so it would never happen in a case that, we're not able to get the supply of ginger in time and we have to just rush to the supermarket to get non-organic ginger. That would never be the case. All our products are organic and sustainability and having good quality products are our utmost values. So I think having those backup suppliers and making sure that the supply chain is streamlined and so that we don't have to use those suppliers is a plan that we already have in place in case that ever happens. And also we have, so our co-packer does all the co-packing, and so they follow all the certifications and food safety rules. And then for 2 new additional SKUs, our co-packer is in Murray, Utah, who've also visited their facility. I'm going again next week to visit during the co-packing run. And they, of course, they follow all the safety certification rules as well.
So just to piggyback off that question, have you thought about, line extensions with, sort of locally sourced ingredients to do sort of a, farm to table type of thing? And how would you spend the 20,000, grant?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, definitely. So, so actually the royal jelly and the honey used to be locally sourced, but the problem is that honey, especially in the Northeast, is like a seasonal thing. So depending on the kinds of flowers that are available, the bees pollinate different flowers, and hence the honey tastes different. So that's why we have a partner in California that consistently sources the same kind of honey from the same kind of flowers, so the taste profile remains the same. But the cayenne pepper and the lemon juice are all locally sourced from suppliers up in Connecticut and Florida as well. But for the $20,000, I think the biggest thing that I want to do is help. It takes, right now it's about $8,000 for launching 2 of the new SKUs, $8,000 each. And so the Wolff New Venture funds would help us completely cover that cost. And the second thing I hope to do is get on a team member, like a part-time employee who can help streamline the supply chain so I can make sure I can focus more on the marketing side of the business as opposed to the, things that don't necessarily add to the growth of the business. So the 2 SKUs and then hiring a team member.
I think we have time for one more question, and I actually have one. Are you able to protect your recipe?
Yeah, so the consumer products good industry is not a very patent-friendly industry, so we can't necessarily protect the recipe, but I think we do see the value add as of the honeybee byproducts as an innovation in this space, and I think our niche in the product actually doesn't just come from the ingredients, but more so the story and the mission behind it, which is some things that, of course, having the plant a tree for every bottle sold is difficult. It does take away from the margins, but those are things that I don't think another company would be able to sacrifice for. And so our niche really comes from the fact that people are buying into the product and using the product and keep reordering is because they're inspired by the story and the one-to-one mission model that's embedded in it. So it's not necessarily I think like the IP is definitely our niche, like to have the honeybee byproducts as a added innovation, but more so the story.
Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Indranil Sinha. I'm a plastic surgeon at Brigham Women's Hospital. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Jacob Quint, who will be talking about his project involving the muscle ink and the BioStylus pen printer. As a surgeon, one of the most common operations I do is to use skin and fat from the belly to perform breast reconstruction for women who have lost their breast after breast cancer. While this operation works great, it unfortunately leaves a skeletal muscle defect in the abdominal wall, and this can cause hernia formation down the road if not treated. Now, unfortunately, there's no good methods we have of recreating this muscle defect. So I've been working with Dr. Quint and Dr. Tamel to develop a scaffold that will induce muscle regeneration, which is completely unlike any therapy available now. With Dr. Quint's commitment to translational therapy and the team in place, I think that we are very close to being able to offer patients a completely new treatment option. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Sinha, and thank you everyone for joining us for our presentation this evening. First, I want you to envision that you have trained your entire life to become a plastic surgeon and have honed the amazing skills necessary to help the most vulnerable get back some semblance of their old lives. You specialize in breast reconstruction after mastectomy for the 13% of all US women who will get breast cancer at some point in their lives. You can enable your patients to feel comfortable in their old clothes and give them the confidence that they lost during their battle with cancer. However, you have to use the best treatment available, and that is a flap transfer, where skin, fat, and muscle from the patient's stomach are taken and transplanted to the chest. The aesthetic, psychological, and reduced risk of infection make flap transfers far superior to traditional silicone implants. However, envision you have to tell your patient and their family that 1 in 3 who undergo a flap transfer will have a complication costing over $10,000, increasing the cost of treatment and slowing their recovery. These complications also range from decreased abdominal strength, which can just make it impossible to get out of bed on your own each morning, to a dangerous hernia that can turn these elective procedures into life-threatening conditions. You may be wondering, why does reconstructive surgery have to be so destructive? And why, despite all our technological advancements, is there not a better solution? In 2021, shouldn't we just be able to grow new tissue? Well, now we can, through Imprint Bio's invention of the BioStylus. The BioStylus is a handheld printer that gives the surgeon the ability to print our muscle ink, a natural biomaterial that adheres directly to the wound left from removing the muscle flap. That's right, our muscle ink supports the wound, complements your body's natural regenerative ability to regrow functional muscle tissue, and we can do what no other treatment option can: regain lost muscle strength. We are putting regeneration directly into the hands of the plastic surgeon. And the BioStylus is going to be a key game changer for our key stakeholders. For patients, they can regain 80% of that lost muscle function, reduce their chances of herniation by 1/3, shorten their healing time from 8 to 6 weeks or 25%, and we opted to deliver a naturally derived biomaterial because of the use of synthetic materials in those implants and hernia meshes are one of the few barriers that keep 2/3 of the individuals who qualify from these reconstructive surgeries from getting them. For surgeons, we can improve their patient outcomes, diminish their complication rates, and they're going to be able to treat these large defects 90% faster than traditional care. This is going to increase their demand for reconstruction. For hospitals, they're able to enhance patient health, which is at the key of each of their mission statement. This will allow them to influence and heighten their public perception by offering the latest and greatest treatment care. They'll be able to raise the rates of breast reconstruction by 35%, and this is going to lead to boosted revenue. And this is possible because we propel past the current standard of care. Johnson & Johnson offers sutures that act as a patchwork to close your muscles, leading to scar tissue. And that creates loss of function. Gore hernia meshes hope to prevent complications of hernia by acting as support for your weakened muscle, but they often fail and lead to complications of their own. One of the only options that help support the wound defect is a dermal mesh that is only intended to support skin and not muscle. Imprint Bio's BioStylus and Muscle Ink are the only muscle regeneration solution that adheres to the wound, reduces surgical time, and allows patients to get back their lost function and get back to their lives. Hi, I'm Jacob Quint, and I'm CEO, Mechatronics Lead, and designer of the BioStylus. Dr. Samandari is our microfluidics expert, and Dr. Tamiel is a lead skeletal muscle regenerative expert who, with his collaborator that you saw, Dr. Sinha, a Harvard plastic surgeon who performs these flap transfers daily, visualized improving patient care by direct in-body printing of regenerative biomaterials. Dr. Sina and our group were stunned by the incredible muscle regeneration from our initial studies, and we realized we were in a unique position to leverage our experience to help bring muscle regeneration to clinical reality. So we contacted Dr. Narbot, a previous FDA lead reviewer and regulatory consultant who's extremely familiar with the regulatory process, and he was thrilled for the opportunity to get the biostylist to market. And finally, we added Dr. Nutella, who works for the Department of Defense testing biomedical devices in large animal models, and he and his expertise will allow us to speed through our clinical trials. And he's also leveraging his experience with the DoD to help us use this for combat military injuries. So, to make this a clinical reality, we got right to work. We developed a functional prototype you can see here, and that allowed us to get through our first rounds of benchtop testing. We were able to do small animal safety data, small animal muscle regeneration studies where we saw significant improved muscle strength, and we did pig biocompatibility studies. Our advanced benchtop testing places us well ahead of the schedule for FDA approval and well suited for the remainder. Due to the novelty and improvement over currently available treatments and the demand for this therapy, we are submitting for the FDA breakthrough designation. This designation is an FDA process that allows for to expedite the development and approval of new treatments for serious injuries with no other standard of care. It shortens the approval process from 2 to 2.5 years and saves tens of millions of dollars of future revenue. To keep our momentum rolling until we hear back about the FDA breakthrough designation, we are applying for several major grants like the NIH SBIR, Department of Defense Combat Readiness Program, and we are looking for other grant opportunities to fund these large preclinical studies. But winning the Wolff New Venture Competition will allow us to accelerate our timetable by 2 preclinical trials by an estimated 2 months. This is possible by bridging a gap on our product development to produce our first 100 devices at scale. And the prestige of winning this competition is invaluable. The positive press from the competition will continue to expand our network and ease our transition through the remainder of our preclinical and clinical trials. From here, we will leverage our large animal functional testing along with our breakthrough designation to attain the required funding for the remainder of preclinical testing through 2024 and our clinical trials through 2026. Our goal is to receive approval by the end of 2026 and immediately go to market by already having the required infrastructure intact. And while $90 million may seem like a large funding requirement, the demand for breast reconstruction is steadily growing. And this is due to legislation that is mandating the insurance reimbursement for these reconstructions and mandatory patient education on breast reconstructive surgery. Last year, 35,000 flap transfers were performed, and this is growing at an annual rate of 7%. The 2021 U.S. annual serviceable available market of $810 million will quickly grow to $1.5 billion by 2030. And once we get through our regulatory approval process in 2026, we will expand beyond our early adoption phase and quickly get out of the red by charging $9,000 per surgery. We hope to break even after our 10,000th surgery in late 2028. And as we continue to capture the market share and become the standard of care, being used in 50% of the surgeries within 10 years of approval, our annual revenue has the potential to surpass $600 million. And this does not even include emerging global markets where the rate of reconstruction is growing much faster from 12 to 25%. In order to capitalize on our success so far, we are currently working on attaining those fundings for FDA large animal preclinical experiments, establishing partnerships with marketing and PR firms to broadcast and leverage our results of the breakthrough designation to investors and care providers. We're finishing up the development and freezing our design for the first 100 devices and applying for new patents. We're registering for reimbursement with the Centers of Medicaid and Medicare Services to prepare to sell directly to hospitals around the nation. And while breast reconstruction is our initial viable market, we already have our eyes on other markets to treat traumas like motor vehicle accidents, tumor resections, diabetic ulcers, and military blast injuries. So, are Are you ready to revolutionize medicine with Imprint Bio? And with that, I'd be happy to take your questions.
I really love your energy. It was a pleasure to listen.
Thank you.
It's obviously very interesting technology and something that really has not made it to market yet. I would say that my only hesitation, and the question that I would throw back to you and maybe the rest of the group, is 90 million seems like a large investment to get off the ground. And is there a staged process that you plan to, if you don't get 90 million, which I'm not sure what the average medical company does receive coming to market today, what would you do?
Yeah, so there's a few things. First off, the fundraising process is very much scalable. So you start in a small scale, and that's just to prove efficacy. But with that, you leverage that data to show, hey, we have a safe and effective product, and then you can scale it as you go. And because you have that data, you can go back and actually raise more funds for the next section of that approval process. But we are actually in talks with the FDA. We may not need $90 million. That's for full pre-market approval of a biomedical device, which is already about 1/10 the cost of a new drug because of the very lean pathway to market that we're going for. But if we can show this is a much safer alternative to the standard of care, which there isn't, we may only need $9 million. But for this presentation, we just chose the most likely case right now. And I guess to answer your question, if we don't necessarily get that funding initially, we just hope to, as I said, leverage the results of our previous studies to slowly work our way up to build towards the full market approval. But if we get the pre-market breakthrough designation, we have full confidence we can get the $90 million because that's very significant in the biomedical device industry.
Thank you.
What do you think is going to be your ultimate exit strategy? I mean, do you think that this is going to be a direct sales approach where you're targeting the surgeons directly, or do you think you're going to be acquired by somebody? How do you think you're going to make money at the end of the day?
That's a great question. And I think it'd be unrealistic if we didn't say that we were discussing all of these exit strategies now. But I think the whole team is very passionate about this device. And so if we get acquired, I think that's a conversation for a later date. But because of the diversity, not only for this particular application, we see that this is a very scalable product that first we sell directly to surgeons in our clinical trial, starting in New England where a majority of these procedures are being done, and we already have a network of surgeons that we're starting to discuss for the approval process. They'll be our initial customers. And you do sell directly to the hospitals, and they get reimbursed through the insurance. So hospitals themselves and the surgeons who are kind of inquiring about these devices will be our initial customer base. And as they continue to buy these products, we think that it is a fully sustainable business model that we can use to go after those other applications that I mentioned, such as tumor resections and a whole other sector of Department of Defense for trauma injuries. But yeah, while we could be acquired, I think that this is sustainable on its own.
And this is going to be regulated then as a pure device, and there's no predicate device, so you're doing a full PMA process?
Yeah, so there is an opportunity.
Or is there something?
There is a de novo pathway we could potentially go, and that's the $9 million that I mentioned. We're discussing that with the FDA right now. But yeah, there is benefits also to the pre-market full approval of the $90 million, because then no one else could use our device as a predicate, which would be nice and kind of prevent our competition. But because of our IP and the portfolio we're developing, we aren't as worried about that either. So that's our current plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jacob, have you guys thought about if this needs to be used in conjunction with other devices, other meshes, in terms of the workflow or of the procedure? And I guess a second question there would be maybe more a business model question, but would you be selling this sort of, ink, or would it be more of sort of a kit sale with a one-time use?
Yeah.
So let me rephrase that. Would it be a reusable type device that you could, sell ink, or would it be a one-time type package?
Yeah, I think this will go back to me better addressing the end of that last question too, is that this is a biomedical device and we aren't claiming we aren't adding any therapeutics to it, even though we have research that shows adding certain growth factors and other Adding a patient's own cells could improve the regenerative capability. The base material on its own has significant regenerative capability, but more so, it makes it so much easier for the regulatory approval process. And to fit by those approval processes, we'd be packaging it all as a single biomedical device just for kind of compliance issues. And that's how we would be marketing it. In terms of reusability, we might get into some kind of discounts for reusability in terms of they could send us back the device for reloading or something along those lines. But it really depends on what the FDA is going to require us in terms of packaging.
And do you need to use it in conjunction with other products?
Oh yeah, you asked
like
two questions. Thank you.
Or can you do it standalone?
So it's really going to be dependent on each patient's injury and the severity of their injury. As Dr. Sina could probably attest to, each patient is different and they have a whole different variety of requisites in terms of how big the grafts they're taking. But for most patients, they shouldn't need any other kind of graft. But if it's severe enough, I'm sure maybe a hernia mesh or some other kind of graft would be required. But we think it is a standalone concept on its own.
Great, thanks.
I have one quick question. How have you funded this to date?
So this has been funded.
All of your
So traditionally, this was funded from NIH R01 grants on skeletal muscle regeneration, which is the top tier of NIH grants, just due to the clinical and academic success from Dr. Tamil and Dr. Sinha. But moving from here, we've used private funds and also the great ecosystem that the CCEI and UConn have put together for us.
Thank you.
And how much shorter is the breakthrough designation trial for the FDA than a regular trial?
Yeah. So as I said, it's shorter by about 2 to 2.5 years, depending on the device. But the approval process normally could take up to 6 to 10 years, depending on the device itself. But we're hoping to shorten that down to 2 to 4 years. And so it doesn't reduce the funding requirement, it just speeds up the processes. Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob, for that presentation. Thank you, judges, and you will now be faced with some tough deliberations. What an amazing evening of pitches. And on behalf of the coaches and the mentors and the staff associated with the Summer Fellowship and the Wolff New Venture Competition, I want to congratulate each of you for your performances this evening. You should be incredibly proud of the progress that you made and know that we are incredibly proud of you. I know everybody at home will also agree, so while our judges do have a tough deliberation ahead of them, selecting the 2021 Wolff New Venture Competition winner, we're also counting on you at home to cast your votes for tonight's FML Audience Choice Award. Voting is quick and easy. You'll just scroll down on the page you're on right now, click on the Vote Now link, and cast your ballot for your favorite pitch of the night. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back at 6:50 sharp to wrap up our event. We're going to hear from last year's winner, Peter Goggins, who will be chatting with CCEI's very own Michelle Cody, and of course, we'll be announcing the 2021 Wolff New Venture Competition winner. So go grab a snack and something to toast the winner, and we'll see you all right back here at 6:50.
Welcome back, everyone. I know everyone is so excited to hear the big announcement, but before we get there, I just wanted to take a couple of moments and to set a little bit of context about the significance about what we're trying to support this evening. So the first part of that context is really just reflections that I have from sitting here and listening to all 5 teams tonight. They all did an amazing job. To hear them kind of present from where they are now is such a huge leap forward from the places that they have been over the time that I've spent with them. So if you were all here, I'd ask everybody to give everybody a big round of applause. Since you're not all here with us, I'm going to do that now and just applaud everybody who participated this evening. Well done. We are so incredibly proud of all of you. The second part of the context of why this competition is so important and why we're so proud to put it on every year at CCEI comes from what happens after the announcement. And to help bring that to life, it is my pleasure to have Peter Goggins from Pisces Atlantic join us tonight. He is the 2020 Wolff New Venture Competition winner and has been working steadily in the year since the announcement of his award to advance his company. So Peter, how's it going? It's great to see you.
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Wow.
What's that?
I said it's been a while.
It has been a while, so we can't wait to hear everything that you've been up to and all the progress that you've made. But before we get there, I just wanted to sort of start with a little bit of, what you were feeling this time last year. I have to admit, your reaction to being notified that you were the Wolff New Venture Competition was probably one of the best that I have ever seen. And for the folks who were not a part of this competition last year, I can only sum it up as just exuding pure joy. The look on your face was priceless, and it made all of us who are a part of this program feel so gratified. And so we're thrilled at that. Can you just give us a little bit of context as to what was going through your mind at that moment and why that news was so incredibly significant to you?
Yeah. So I presented from my apartment, and there was a small crowd of friends there with me. And when the announcement was made, it was obvious from the first syllable that Pisces. It was me. And I turned to the group, and just as I went to turn, I started smiling. And one of my friends just, he came at me so hard, hugged me so hard, it just knocked me back onto the couch. It was pure joy. It was I knew I was going to have the opportunity to follow through on all the projects I had planned for the money, and it was just it's hard to describe even now. I was definitely overwhelmed.
Well, certainly you deserved it and so much for all the work that you put in. Can you give us a little bit of an update on the things that you have accomplished in the past year and maybe some of the things that you're most proud of?
Yeah, so it was a really big year. In the immediate aftermath, we increased our sales volume considerably. And right after that, we started trials with both federal users and state users. We got really favorable recommendations from there, started working as a supplier to the Fish and Wildlife Service, and then really started focusing in on hammering down product market fit months after that. Over the summer, we worked on vertically integrating our supply chain. We just dropped cost of goods down through the floor. So now we're not just competitive on a quality basis, we're competitive on a price point basis. And in the last couple of weeks, I found myself in the closing stages of an investment deal, and I have another one in the works as we speak. So it's been a really big year, and I'm hoping that in the coming year, we'll be able to capitalize on that growth.
Amazing. Can you help us understand how the $20,000 from the Wolff New Venture Competition helped you get to some of those key milestones?
Oh, I mean, it was night and day. Before, I'd had all kinds of financial support before, but realistically, I was working with a lot of tools that I'd put together myself. I was really running on a budget, and it showed. So having access to that amount of money, it kind of helped put lipstick on a pig in a sense. It turned a manufacturing plant that looked like it was in someone's garage into something that was more of a credible company that really realistically lent me the credibility and the ability to get the things done that I wanted to. It was a major milestone.
Awesome. And again, for those of you who weren't with us last year, you may not know what Peter is actually up to. So instead of me trying to do that for you, can you just give us a little bit of an update as to some of your current customers and how you're providing value for them?
Yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know, I manufacture fish feeds that are made from insect and vegetable protein as opposed to fish meal. So basically, it's the next generation of fish feeds for commercial farms. And I found my most important customers, as I mentioned, were the federal users. So they use my feed to hatch juvenile sturgeon that they then stock for conservation reasons. There's also the state. They do the same thing with trout. And I also have private customers who utilize feeds for fish farming purposes for human consumption. Um, it's really interesting, the variety of individuals that you interact with when you're trying to make sales. You come across, I mean, it is such a large and fragmented and diverse industry that you're going to come across Americans from every course of life trying to make your way through this industry.
Yeah, there's so many incredible applications for the product that you make. Everything from making the fish that we eat every single day healthier and more nutritious for us, to cleaning up the ocean and trying to restock and reinvigorate, incredibly important marine life value chains. So for you, as you've been navigating these different kinds of customers, what are the moments where you're kind of like, wow, this is really happening, it's making a difference? Can you recount a couple of experiences that kind of keep affirming you that you're on the right path?
Yeah, always when I'm like packaging up an order to mail it out, that always strikes home for me. Like, not only did somebody trust me enough to, hand me money, but, it's fulfilled. It is physically leaving my hands and entering theirs. I get the same feeling whenever I get data back from someone or feedback. It's just an amazing feeling to be like this is actually, you got to pinch yourself. Like, this is actually happening. We're not talking anymore. We're not hypothesizing. This has occurred. And you get a small sense of the same feeling after every day of work. When you turn off the lights at the production facility, or closing the laptop after a long day of interacting with partners. It's a humbling experience to realize that many people trust you enough and believe in your vision enough to work with you that way.
That's awesome. So speaking of support, we know that only 2 people are walking away with money tonight from tonight's award, but we know that there's an incredible audience of folks who have tuned in to watch our presentations and hopefully lend support in many other ways. So over the last year, can you talk about some of the support that you got from the CCEI community and the greater community in Connecticut, and give people who want to help these entrepreneurs take the next step some advice about how to support them best?
Yeah, I mean, the support's been ongoing. I mean, I think it was early last week, I just picked up the phone, gave Jen a call and said, hey, like, I need a lawyer like today to help me with something. And so, that was great. It's fantastic to be able to tap into the network that you guys have built. The second question was advice on how to help mentors, help entrepreneurs. I would say make sure that this goes both ways, but make sure that you're not talking past each other. I've seen that in a couple cases where people from different backgrounds and different levels of experience tend to talk past each other, where they're not really communicating in a way that is all that helpful. So I think it's important to know what like your communication objective is, and then to have milestones to follow up with, like, is this person getting what I'm saying? Am I making sense, or am I just monologuing here? So that would be my piece of advice.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that perspective, Peter. Again, congratulations on all the milestones that you continue to reach, and best of luck as you go forward. Keep in touch with us, okay?
Thanks, Michelle.
All right, good to see you. And with that, It is my pleasure to have an opportunity to introduce Greg and Gary Wolff. As you've heard from many of the CCEI team already, they have been our rock behind our programs and this competition for many, many years. And it has been their unwavering support that has helped our entrepreneurs show up every single day and try to be the best that they can be. So thank you so much, Greg and Gary, for everything that you do for us day in and day out. Thank you for being here with us this evening. And the floor is yours.
Thank you, Michelle. And we just want to thank everyone. What a nice conversation you had with Peter. And he has been just a great representative of the Wolff competition. And we're pleased to see his success. We also want to do something in relationship to thanking all of those who, I'm sorry about that. We also want to do something that would thank everyone from the standpoint of the people who participated. Bad timing. Okay. Murphy's Law, forgive me. But what I wanted to do was to thank everyone for the 5 presentations. They were fantastic. We have been around for all of these, and I would tell you that's the best we've ever seen. So it was really very special tonight to have that. And then in regard to this competition and having the event virtual, Jen and your team, you did a fantastic job. We can't thank you enough. Jen, Dean John Elliott, Rory, Michelle, Alicia, Maureen, and the entire CCEI team was just fantastic. And finally, the judges. We want to thank the judges for their help in selecting the winners and also for their time and energy. It's with great pleasure that we announce for the first time we have this Audience Choice Award. That was Jen who came up with the idea. Fiandella, Milone, and La Saracena have joined us as a sponsor of this award, and they're giving the $5,000, so that's great. Frank Milone is one of the founding partners, and I met him at a CCEI event several years ago. We immediately hit it off, and when we were looking for someone to become involved with us, we asked Frank and his firm if they would be willing to do it, and they did. And so here we are. There have been many their associates who have been involved with UConn and the CCEI program, and we just want them to know how much we appreciate their support. Frank, it's all yours, my friend.
Thanks, Gary and Greg. Sorry, I'm a little, looks like I'm a little dark. So first off, I just want to thank you, Gary. Thank you, Greg, and the whole Wolff family for just a wonderful event. And obviously the CCEI team, FML is just really honored to be a part of this. And the fact that we've got asked to sponsor another award as part of that, we were just thrilled to get involved. So thank you all for allowing us to be a part of it. You know, FML is a regional CPA firm, and we have been supporting the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Connecticut and beyond for almost 20 years, providing audit, tax, advisory services to both founders and companies as they go through the exciting process of starting a company and growing a company from scratch. And we just try to surround those companies with expertise that they're going to need to use to start a company effectively, efficiently, and to grow that company through whatever exit they want to achieve as part of the process. So thanks again. We really appreciate being a part of it. And I guess my last point here is to announce our winner of the inaugural FML Audience Choice Award. And I guess I'm going to do that now, and that's Engagement Solutions. So congratulations to them. Well done. Very well done.
Well, Frank, thank you very much for your participation. We are just thrilled to have you guys expand the program and be able to give yet another entrepreneurial gift out that hopefully will spring yet another business. Peter, I have to say, I remember last year and your winning and your total joy. I know I was going to mention this later, but since you were the person interviewed, I know like immediately one of my best friends went out to visit your business. At that time, you weren't ready for an investment, but he also looked at one other the swimsuit from last year to possibly invest. These are the kinds of things that we hoped and hope will are happening. 30 years ago, there was a dream of hope, but we have been able to help the university move, along with the dean's support, who we greatly appreciate, in what we think is the right direction. We as a family were a little concerned last year because all of a sudden we were going virtual and weren't going to have a live event like we have in the past. That's turned out because of Jen and her team's tremendous work to be a home run. And hopefully next year we're going to have both. And it certainly has expanded our audience and expanded the interest in the program, which again, we didn't realize. What we're seeing now, as this has grown over the years, are fantastic opportunities, and now we're having businesses that have been sold already. They've started in this program and have been sold from way back. We are the last 5 winners have raised $20 million, and I don't believe that included Phoenix Tailings, which just raised $9 million and also got over $1 million from the federal government for their program. So this is a real program that's helping to launch real businesses that are employing people, that are helping to provide future business leaders that are going to drive our economy in the future as well. So that part is probably the most, for me, exciting part of this program. We've been fortunate to meet many of you, and after you've had been in this program, and it's just exciting to listen to you, to see the drive, to see the work that you're doing to make your businesses work. We can't be, I don't think, more happy or pleased with the work, again, that Jen and her team have put into this program. So we can't thank you enough. And Dean, I see you smiling. We're just thrilled with all the support you've given us over the years. So we're very grateful as a family. And I think I'm now supposed to do the same thing. And
No, not yet.
Oh, sorry.
I'm supposed to say a few words, Gary. So give me, I had the phone ring. Now I got Gary not giving me the opportunity to speak. So, this is live TV. It's perfect. But anyway, our dad did have a vision many years ago. It was actually in the early 1990s. He brought to the business school the idea of having one course in entrepreneurship. And here we are 30 years later, and entrepreneurship is probably the biggest buzzword at almost every college in the country. I guess we could say Dad was ahead of his time, but this is what's happening in our country and in our colleges today. If you go on the UConn website for entrepreneurship, you will see there's the Peter J. Worth Institute for Entrepreneurship, our chair in strategic entrepreneurship, an array of courses that are on entrepreneurship. And of course, we have our own CCEI, which provide the finalists for tonight's competition. And they also serve as an incubator for so many new companies. That just gives you a slight snapshot of what is happening in entrepreneurship and where it's come from and where it is today. Our dad, who passed away in 2008, is up there looking down tonight saying, oh boy, this is great. I never would have dreamed it could be this good. And he and our mom founded the foundation for the competition. Gary and my sister Debbie and our sister Debbie and I feel that we want to carry that tradition on and look forward to making entrepreneurship more than a buzzword at UConn. And we hope that this is lending to that. With the help of Jen and everyone there, the new venture competition, the Wolff New Venture Competition, has become a focal point in our entrepreneurship at UConn. And we're just very happy and proud to be a part of that. So with that, I turn it back to you, Gare, and do you have a winner for us?
We do. Pro Velocity backed by Extra Base Sports is our winner.
All right.
Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations, Elijah. Great job. And thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. Thank you to our judges. Thank you again to the Wolff family. We really appreciate all of your contributions to entrepreneurship. And congratulations again to Engagement Solutions for the Audience Choice Award. Have a great evening, everyone.